So you've heard me say it. This is not a rehearsal. This is the emergency. The Postal Service says tens of millions of ballots, mail-in ballots, absentee ballots are at risk of not being counted. The United States Postal Service is warning that 46 states and Washington, D.C., in July, they warned tens of millions of voters might not have their votes counted because of the slow mail processing of absentee ballot applications and eventual ballots. That in April, Washington Post has the story. That was the earliest sign from the post office that if they do kneecap them in terms of funding, which the Trump administration is trying to do, it could affect ballot delivery. Now, I really need people to understand this because Donald Trump and Trumpists are saying something very different. The problem here is not the volume of ballots. OK, please look at the numbers. Every holiday season, November, December into New Year, the post office regularly handles about 1.3 billion greeting cards around the country. OK, even if every voter voted by mail, we're looking at somewhere between 120 and 130 million people voting. That's only 10% of the normal volume of greeting cards. OK, if we just let the post office do its thing, it would have no problem handling mail-in ballots, even if every ballot was by mail instead of in person. But that's not going to be the case. Only some people are planning to vote absentee or vote by mail. The problem is if you cut hours, if you limit overtime, if you close down post offices, if you shut down mailboxes, if you, quote, reorganize the post office the way Louis DeJoy wants to do, you will then cause a problem for the post office being able to deliver and do everything that they have to do. The warning from the post office applies to 186 million potential voters. Now, not all of those voters are expected to vote by mail. So that's why in practice, it will probably affect tens of millions rather than, 186 million, which is the number of people that could vote in some of these states. It's in blue states. It's in red states. It's in battleground states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. So there's a few suggestions here that are just common sense. I'm going to have a story tomorrow, by the way. This is, I'll mention it. This is crazy. My absentee ballot application took 14 days to go 3 miles. OK, I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. But as far as suggestions, request your ballots as early as you can. Return your ballot as early as you can. It likely will be too late for some people in some states. Like it seems that we've reached post office kneecapping escape velocity, for lack of a better term. We are unfortunately looking at a situation where if you want higher confidence that your vote will be counted, you might have to vote in person. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything unsafe, but I'm talking about wearing a mask and all of that stuff. What I am saying is we're hearing from the post office itself that they are being sabotaged, as William Shatner says. And this administration is trying to find a way for your vote not to count. Now, there is some intermediate good news, and this made some waves over the weekend, and I do want to amplify it. In a lot of places, if you get your ballot in the mail, you don't have to send it in through the mail. You can drop it off, and different municipalities have different places, town hall, city hall, different municipal offices. Figure out the specifics in your community. In other places, if it's 10 days before the election and you don't have your ballot, for example, you might have to vote in person to make sure your vote is going to be counted. And that's horrifying. I don't want to pretend that that's not a possibility, but because it is. Trump is against funding the post office. His postmaster general has reassigned 23 postal executives and is sort of circling the wagons and consolidating power. They are talking about the post office like it's a business when really it's a public service. You don't say we can't do it. You say, okay, what do we have to do to make sure that they can do it? That's what a normal president would do. This president says, let's make sure that they can't do it. So really keep in mind that this local drop-off might be a good idea. I checked in Boston. How does it work in Boston? In Boston, the election website says, if you want to return your ballot in person, you can do that anytime City Hall is open, but you've got to go to City Hall. Now, doesn't seem ideal that anybody, all of Boston, needs to go to City Hall to return their ballots in person, but it is something. In New York City, I found that, quote, all borough offices are equipped with ballot marking devices available for voters up until Election Day. Look it up in your community. Remember, they want to take everything away from government. So making the post office fail at something as natural as just delivering ballots is part of them building up the case that we should be replacing the post office with private industry anyway. And they have the added benefit this time around that they might be able to win an election if they're able to do it. Very scary. I want to say this is being taken as seriously as it should. I don't know if it is. I'm doing everything I can to sound the alarm, know the options, understand the timelines, figure out where you can drop off your absentee ballot in person. If you're able, if you have transportation and you're able to do it, very, very important stuff because this could get really ugly really quickly.